everybody, welcome back. So not staying in the bathroom because even though we're doing bathroom things, I needed a different work environment for a little bit at least. Still painting it, very close to done. So I'll show you guys that at some point in the video, but you get the gist of what's going on in there, just slow going. But one thing I have to fix right now, and what I'm doing currently, is the door. So actually the door frame, to be more specific. The door is actually what's behind me here. This is the bathroom door that you guys saw me fix a few weeks back. But the door frame has some issues, as some of you might remember. It was quite corroded, quite broken. It looked like somebody had kicked it open or kicked the door off the hinges, and there were some really shattered parts of the wood that I'm going to repair. So let me show you how I'm gonna do that. Here is part of the door frame that was all busted. You can see where the hinge kind of was. They actually had the hinge down here at a certain point, and they put so many screws through it. I mean, see all the holes, and I pulled so many screws out of this thing. They've just really messed this piece up. It was beat. So you see I've marked some lines, and then all the way down here because of how broken that is. So I'm going to replace all of that with one piece. So this is what I'm going to be replacing it with. This is another piece of door frame. It is from the butler's pantry, as you guys can remember, I'm sure. Since the butler's pantry is being sealed back up, I'm going to go ahead and use this piece. And I separated it from this. This is another big chunk of the same stuff, piece of the door frame. So this center section is the same as this center section. But this being 1920 stuff and this being 1890 stuff, this stuff's actually quite a bit thicker. I mean, that's really thick for the thinnest part of a door frame. So I'm gonna have to use my joiner and take this down a little bit. But we're gonna find the best little pieces along this and replace that piece there. And I've already cut the piece out here, but and then this piece here, which is where another hinge was. But this was all damaged, and I just went ahead and cut it all out. So I'm gonna show you the process of how I get to do this. So look forward to me and my buddy Justin here making this all happen real quick. So let's get going. And we're back, and we've got some repairs. As you can see, this is where one of the hinges was and is no more, or I should say the hinge cut. Obviously it's been filled, and in my opinion, much better than the broken piece of wood. Now I know a few of you might be asking why I didn't just cut this whole piece out and remove it. I just felt it was unnecessary. Most of this wood's good, and it's actually less chewed up than the one that I stole from the butler's pantry. And of course there was the issue of the thickness. With my joiner, I can make this the same thickness as that, or pretty close. This one I haven't sanded yet, so that's why the color doesn't even match either. But if we come down here, this one is looking a bit better in that persuasion. As you can see, that's the seam right there. If you come down to this side, there's the seam there. So fairly seamless. So these are where the original plates were, to catch the original lock set as it came in to obviously shut the door. There were two of them. There's one here, and there was one there. That's another patch. You can kind of see it on the side down there, that line. So I routed this one out, and this one's going to get the same treatment just because this is really haphazardly done and I don't like it. The plates themselves are actually kind of interesting. They are brass. They're probably, from the 20s like everything else in this area of the house. But, there's no curve to that plate, which I find kind of odd. I don't know if I need to bend this little tab slightly, because as the door lock set comes in, you want it to hit this and bounce right into here so it actually locks. So I'm not 100% sure about that one. The interesting thing too is this door had been modified at some point, and they put this little extra lock set in, which makes sense. It's for a bathroom, so you'd want the ability to lock it, and it has this little turn handle. So if I come to the door here, you can actually see that little lock set that corresponds to this. And of course, this is where the lock set itself would go, the normal one with the doorknob and everything else like that. But this one, you can see it has no hole over here. It only has it on this back side, and there's a little guy that goes in there so you can lock the door from the inside. And that's what this little plate's for. So hopefully at some point, no little kid gets the bright idea to lock themselves in my bathroom. But like with everything, I want to use the original hardware. This one's bent pretty bad, but I'll hammer it back into shape, get all the paint off of it, and it'll be a nice brass piece. So the door frame should be in next week. I wouldn't expect there to be the door itself in quite yet. I still got to figure out what I have to do, because the one side of it's kind of messed up because it looks like they cut it down at some point. I assume that door is actually the kitchen door that has been cut down to fit this bathroom. Or at least that's my best guess. But who knows exactly? I wasn't there when they did all of that. One last thing too, before we move on to this beautiful board that's sitting behind all of this stuff, I have to flip this board over because there's a cool little thing on the back of it. So I flipped it. This is the back side, and we can see a nice large written name here. The name here is Yeneman. Now that's really interesting to me and really awesome of a find, because this is the doctor's name, the veterinarian who ran his practice out of the basement. His name was Joseph T. Yeneman. He came from Germany, and this is the second owner of the house. And this is the family actually who lived in the house the longest out of all the families who owned this place. It was them who lived here the longest and made a lot of modifications to the house, including this, bathroom. Before it was a butler's pantry. It was them in 1923 that made this into that full bath down there to add a second bathroom to the house. So to find the woodwork with his name huge on it, because obviously the carpenters are making this, were probably making many things, so they had to label their work. And it's really cool to see this laid out perfectly, like how awesome. There's some other little notes here. They don't have anything like a date or anything else like on it like that. But of course we know the date that this was all built and made. It was 1923. Because of the newspapers I found on the wall, because of the date of the bathtub, and because of the date of the sink. They're all 1923. But yeah, I thought that was something really cool that I found it. So coming out of the time lapses, you've seen us shellacking and doing the process with these pine beadboards. And as you can all tell, they're brand new. I could not find this stuff because this is the original stuff here. Not original to the house, but contemporary to the house. It's the same era, same age, or close at least. This is stuff that was cut at a place here in St. Louis called Buckhart's. They do a fantastic job, and actually this is stuff they just had on the shelf, which is really cool. And it's actually quite cheap, cheaper than the reclaimed stuff, and certainly a lot easier to work with as far as not having to fix a lot of nail holes or try to sand these beads out or deal with a lot of the carbon built up on these. But there is one big difference, and that's grain pattern. These are both pine, but from what I know, this is what's called longleaf pine. It's stuff you really can't get very easily anymore, if at all. And the grain pattern is extremely tight, making it a much stronger piece of wood than this here. Of course, this also has a lot more character because it's been more damaged and beat up. This not so much. Actually, that mark there I did on purpose just to see how my mixture would go on, especially for imperfections. I purposely do have to damage a lot of this wood just to get it to look close to this, because I'm going to do the back wall of the bathroom in this stuff because I have enough of it. The rest of the bathroom will be done in this. And Kim and I, in those time lapses, spent a great deal of time making concoctions to make these two colors match. This just has shellac on it and waterlocks. This has a currently drying coat of waterlocks, but has a lot of shellac mixed actually with two different types of stain. We're using Minwax oil-based stains just because they're what I have handy and available to me. So this here is actually the mix we're using on this. We seal it with just regular shellac first, and then I start with this mixture here. And what this is half shellac, a quarter Red Barn Minwax oil-based stain, and a quarter dark oak oil-based Minwax stain. Mix it all up and keep adding until you get the right color. Now, thankfully for me, I have a wonderful, wonderful girlfriend who can see colors because I'm colorblind, and sometimes it's very hard for me to match colors like this. Well, mildly colorblind, but still, it's a little hard when you get very close colors, or color matching is a little difficult for me sometimes. So she was able to come through, and these two boards look pretty close, at least in color. So, you know, doing the best I can. The bead is a little bit different. This is more of a V groove, where this is just straight rounded with straight edges on each side. However, it's not bad. It looks pretty close, and I think if you didn't know they were different, you wouldn't know. So, best we can do here. Either way, I do think that looks pretty good, and yeah, I can't wait to get it on the walls of the bathroom. And I suppose, note to self for the next time around, when they have what you need sitting at a salvage place, buy it then, because it might not be there tomorrow. So lesson learned there, and we'll continue on. And now let's get to the project that has been the most excruciating experience of this build so far, and that has been this wallpaper. It has been, oh, it's just been a challenge. And I still have lots of imperfections and problems, especially in the corners, like higher up in different areas. I got some blue tape up there I haven't removed. But overall, I'm quite happy with it. Like I said, there's plenty of imperfections, but it's just been difficult because, you know, corners, and you can only do so much of a corner at a time, and I don't know. I've learned a lot, and I definitely think it was a worthwhile experience. Would I sign up to do a geometric pattern at least? Again, probably not. However, I think this is, you know, it's good for stories, and I do think it looks great, you know, and I've definitely stayed true to the original pattern. I mean, check this out. Like, how amazing is this? And then you can, boom, you know, like, it's back. History's back again from this tiny little chunk, which, by the way, same size. You know, like, how cool is that? I love that. I love that I was able to
bring something back. You know, this, you know, you can't buy this on the shelf. You can't have this done in stores. You have to have this made in this pattern. And I understand it's obviously not the paper itself, but, you know, it's back here on the wall and it looks really good in most of the areas. And yeah, I know, for the next, like, let's say month-ish, maybe 2 months, I will probably be in here with a brush at least one day a week touching this thing up. And that's okay with me. You know, little by little, I'll make it right. I'll make it perfect. But for me right now, I think it is best to step away from messing with this too very much because it's starting to drive me a little bit crazy. But it was fun to work on other projects this week in conjunction with this project. But I didn't even try to put a camera on myself doing this week because I just wanted to get in here, get what I needed done, and not think about it so much. But hey, you know, would it be worth it if it were easy? Probably not. So, and it's getting really cool. I mean, I'll have the door frame back on next week. I should have most of the beadboard on next week. I got electrical to do. I'll have my grandpa come up, which will be exciting to see him regardless of what the occasion is. But we'll put another breaker in, get another fuse, another circuit to work with in here, a bit more power. Heck, who knows? I might even be able to wash my hands in here next week. And if not next week, the week after. And yeah, this thing's gonna come together. And I can't wait to make it prettier again next week. I can't wait to not see the bottom half of the walls. That'll be really exciting. I also think next week is going to be a lot of fun with antique plumbing. I'm going to really have to dig deep to try to figure out exactly what's going on with all these pieces and how they all go together, especially trying to slot antique pieces into modern infrastructure. So that'll be a fun little learning experience. So that's going to do it for the video this week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. More pretty stuff to come in the future, I promise. Yeah, it's starting to get pretty exciting because I'm starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And I am racing towards it because, again, the real winning thing that's going to happen here is I will be able to wash my hands. That might not be seeming like a big deal to you guys, but oh man, I am sick of baby wipes. So we'll see you guys then. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Catch you later. Bye-bye.